Welcome to Talking Tech with Creative Podcast. My name is Stella Oni, your host. And wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know where you are in the world. Anyway, normally when I start my podcast, I try and give news, but I'll probably do a kind of thing at the end. I won't give a news because I want to do a solo episode to wrap up all of the technology, cultural, art news. So I'll be doing a solo episode. So watch out for that. You might actually be getting the solo episode before this one or after, but I have a feeling it's after. So in the meantime, I'm so excited. I've got an amazing guest for you. Oh, her name is Rasheda Ashanti Malcolm. She is an amazing, call her a fireball because she just goes. She's an author, she's a literary activist, she runs a foundation that is for women, creative women, and she's going to tell us more about it. And she actually is a CEO of a festival that she started running a few years ago. And I have to say something, I know Rasheda. I've known her a long time back, and then we reconnected a few years ago. And she's a pioneer in so many things that I had to get her to the podcast. I had to get her to talk about what she did, what she's doing, and how she sees the future. And I think this is very important. So, Rasheda, welcome to Talking Tech with Creative Podcast, where we talk about technology, art, intersection with creativity. Welcome and tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about it. So, a little bit about me. Yes, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that I'm a mother. Okay. I'm a mother. My greatest achievement wasn't what I did, it was who I gave birth to. So, my 4 sons, I love them to pieces. And now, of course, I'm a grandmother because they've made me a grandma too. So, I'm very proud of that. But with my professional hat on, yes, I love the fact that I write. I love the fact that I was published, that someone found my work entertaining enough to publish me. I love that fact as well. And that's what I do now. I write, I teach writing, anything to do with writing, I'm there. I also set up a festival for female authors primarily, but we don't leave out our male authors at all. But yeah,
You
I
also left out males.
I have given that platform over to female authors and indie authors, because of course, indie authors face the same problems, possibly that female authors of color, underrepresented writers we face. Yes. But yeah, I love it. I love my life. I love my creative life. And it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. You have to bounce back from all the falls that you get. But yeah, I'm loving it, Stella. I'm loving it. And I'm loving meeting people like you along the way. Yes.
I love meeting you. So I'm going to tease out information from you because I know that you started a magazine, women's magazine years ago. And Candace, tell us a bit about it because I know that what you're doing now started from way back. Started from way back. What was the idea behind creating a magazine for women of color? And because you're doing the same thing, a different iteration.
Yeah.
What was your starting point?
With Candace Magazine, it was the fact that at that time in the 1990s, the only magazine I could get hold of for women of color came from America. And that, of course, was Essence Magazine. So in reading Essence, I thought, wow, we need a publication like that here in the UK. And so what I did, in those days, it was fax. I hope people remember that there was something called fax. We used to fax information.
People are using fax, you'll be surprised now still.
Yes, some people don't know what faxing is, but yes, I decided I would fax the editor-in-chief of Essence Magazine, Susan L. Taylor, and tell her my idea for wanting to start a magazine for female in this country, in the UK. And I just sent the facts. I honestly didn't expect to get a response. I really didn't. So I was surprised when Susan faxed back and gave me a host of information on, yeah, on how to actually approach this, and lots of advice. And that's where it started, really. I then went along to my economic development unit in the borough where I live in West London and managed to get, in those days, in the 90s, £10,000 grant.
Whoa.
And that was to do
Yeah.
a feasibility study to show that there was a need for it. And it happened. It happened. We did the study.
It did.
And I sent a copy to Susan, of course, and she posted it. I posted it. And weeks later, she responded via fax, telling me she found it a real sweet publication. But what I must be wary of is that I should be doing about 60% advertising and 40% editorial. There began my lesson. Because it was very difficult in those days to get anyone to take you as a Black editor in this country serious. Went along to my bank manager and he had the cheek to say, "Oh, I thought it was Asian women that were enterprising." Excuse me? This is what the man said to me at that time. But I was in my 20s. It didn't faze me. I just thought, just keep going, Rasheda. Just keep going. Yes, I wanted to do that. And so after I did the kind of pilot issue, I did an official launch of Candace Magazine and got distribution deals through, at the time, Time Out. Yeah, Time Out distribution.
Amazing.
Yes.
It's a biggie.
Yeah. And we started small. We started in London, but then, of course, what happens, word of mouth spreads. And through that, we started getting people faxing us, writing us, when is it coming to our area? So areas like Leeds, Manchester. It started really with Leeds and Manchester. And we managed to get the distributors to get a few issues down those ends. And it was going really well. I can just honestly tell you that people seemed to really welcome it and love the idea. And it was a magazine that was not based on all the pretty girl looks or nothing like that. No, it was we spoke about it being and intelligent. It was a magazine that speaks intelligence of Black women, and that's the way I wanted it to grow. And it did. And of course, to keep going, because we didn't have the advertising, we also did a Black Women's Achievement Award, Candice Black Women's Achievement Award, where we awarded Black women at the time in the late 80s, early 90s who were doing stuff. Because at that time, I don't know if you remember, Stella, there was this saying that went around that you can have it all.
Could you?
As a woman, you could have it all.
Oh, my word.
And the thing is, the women that were buying the magazine, they were my kind of women. To this day, they're my kind of women. Funny, they're intelligent, they're beautiful, great conversationalist. They're still in my world. And I get the biggest buzz, actually, when I go places and someone says, "I know you. You used to do that magazine. I actually subscribe to it." And I'm like, wow, thank you. You're one of the ones that kept me going. Up to this day, in 2025, I get people who recognize me from that 1990s magazine, Candice Magazine.
Okay. Which is amazing. I actually have two questions in mind. One takes us to the past, and the other one looks at what is present. So the past, why I want to take us to the past is I'm curious about the kind of mind that decided to do this. So tell me more about where your curiosity and your determination started from. How did it begin? What kind of child were you?
Okay. I would say that my personal kind of journey was shaped by my daddy. Okay. My father, he never watched TV. Daddy was a radio man. He listened to the radio. BBC Radio 4. He listened to all the dramas on the radio. And while he listened to his radio dramas, you were not allowed to have the TV on. So I would sit patiently by my daddy's feet while he's in his chair listening to the Archers on
And
BBC
listening
Radio
with
4.
him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just listening to the Archers, and I'm 8 years old and I'm picking up all this, what's going on, and I'm thinking, I can write that. I can write better than that. I can write a story like that. And that's what I used to say to my daddy. Oh, I can write a story like that. And he would just say, go and write it. And that's what I used to do in my exercise book. But those days, my stories were all about princesses and princes and witches and what 8-year-olds write around.
Yeah.
But I didn't even, you don't think about it at that age. You just like doing what you like doing. So in all my size books, and I wish I'd kept some, because when I moved from my last home, I still had those books. But
Oh,
I got rid of them because I thought,
no.
I was 8 years old and I just didn't want to, I wanted to declutter. I had so much junk because by then I had my
Your
own children.
legacy for your grandbabies.
I should have kept, yes, I should have kept it.
Yeah.
But one thing I did keep was my final year school report, because within that report, my English teacher wrote, a brilliant author who hides her light under a bushel. And
What?
I kept that.
Oh my word.
Yes, I kept that because English was my favorite subject at school. I loved writing essays, short stories. I loved it. And Mr. Feeney, bless his soul, he recognized that in me. And when you have to hand your homework in, I didn't hand mine in on time because I needed to hang back with the bad girls. You understand? I was like, yeah. I didn't want to be seen like teacher's pet.
You know?
And he would always say, I know you've done it. I don't know why you haven't.
Why you have not submitted it. Wow. So
But he wrote that in my final school report, and I kept that.
so in a way, which I mean, I follow that, and I don't know, I think the listeners will follow as well, is that some of your obsessions when you're young is, if you look at what you are now, aspects, if for, not all of it, maybe all of it or aspects of it will follow you to your adult life, but it iterate into different things. That's what I discovered. So that's where your love of story came from. You sitting patiently by your dad, listening to the radio with him, and listening is so vital. Being able to hear. Seeing is good, but listening, I think it seems to develop some other kind of skills as well. So that's so I wanted to just go to the past to understand that. And now I want to understand what you now think about today's world when it came to, you started Candice. Do you think that things have improved? Because when I look out there, I think I recognize the only platform that I recognize, correct me if I'm wrong, will be Black Ballad, that is doing something like what you did with Candice years ago. So I can't think of any kind of other magazines anymore, even digital. So what do you think about the current state of information, or the kind of thing that we're looking for as women of color in one format or the other, not necessarily in magazine format, but in one format or the other, which is what you try to do. You did actually using the format you used. But what do you think of present day now?
I love it. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud to see publications like Black Ballad, because it really was my kind of, what do you call it, strapline in those days was like Candice, the queen of magazines. It was providing women of color who was going places in life, who had big dreams, who were balancing family and career, and had these big dreams for themselves. In those days, like I said, it was about you can have it all. I always remember that kind of, it was on TV all the time, women having it all. And what that meant was that, yes, you had home, husband, children, and career, and you balance the whole lot.
Perfectly. Oh my goodness.
We wish, yes. But I love to see, it just, my heart grows when I see publications and initiatives that our Black women bring forward. To me, in the 90s, it was harder because there was so much that was missing. There was so much that, I guess that's why, for me, literature and activism were not separate. They fed into each other because the gatekeepers were stronger then. You know, when I was sending off my manuscripts to all the major five that's out there, a few of them would write back and say, you have a voice, but we wouldn't know where to place you, type of thing.
Goodness.
That was always the kind of feedback comeback. And to see that in this day and age, we are still facing those issues. There's so much more that has happened for us because of self-publishing, which in those days were called vanity publishing. You wouldn't even think of publishing yourself in those days because it was called vanity publishing, and then no one took you seriously. But of course now you can self-publish and be self-made.
And when we think about it, I think the thread in this between that time and now is technology. And when I say technology, I'm talking about things like social media. Social media exposure, I think, allowed those platforms to be more, you could see, it's more immediate for you to be able to know and see those platforms. What do you think about that? That technology, that if you had the technology that we have now, do you think that would have been a different story for you back then?
Yes, I really do think so. I think the opportunities would have been, yeah, there would have been far more opportunities if we had what we have now then. And we wouldn't be definitely would not be relying on the gatekeepers and waiting so long for them to say,
Are
yeah,
you good enough?
yeah,
Are you good enough?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So let's now go to, because when we now reunited in a way, I was pleasantly surprised to see that you were now an author. And of course, I happily went to read your first book, Swimming with Fishes, which set in Jamaica and in England.
yeah.
Loved it. I absolutely loved that book. So,
Thank you.
so you became an author. So what was that transition? What made you now decide that now I actually want to write and I want to write to be published?
Okay. Well, after Candace Magazine folded, because basically I wasn't getting advertising. Everybody just wants to do a contra deal with you.
Yeah.
No money. They just want to place their ads in your magazine and give you goodies to give away to your readership. That does not pay your printing
Yeah.
bills.
Yeah.
That does not cover your rent for your offices.
Yeah.
Tell me what you said again just there.
So what I was saying was that your transition from Candice to becoming an author.
Yes, writing was always in my bones. Okay, it was always there. So once that magazine folded, I went to uni. Yeah, and I'll tell you that I cried my eyes out for that when I did that last issue and knew that there was no more to come. I cried. I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken. But then I decided I'm going to go to university, and that's what I did. And I did a media studies degree, and we had 3 modules. We had print, radio, and television. Radio was my thing, and my professor, he was in love with my voice. He just kept saying to me, you need to be on radio, that's where you belong, on radio. And but I loved writing features, so I was into print as well. Coming back from my English teacher, Mr. Feeney, telling me I was a brilliant author, that stayed with me.
Yeah.
And I loved writing features, kept writing the features, and from writing the features I decided to start a novel. And that's when I started Swimming with Fishes. And at that time, it was a different title I'd given it. And of course, it looked completely different than how it turned out.
Yeah.
But that was where it began. When I finished, After I finished my degree, I then went on to do a master's in creative writing, creative and transactional writing. And it was there that I had the opportunity of being published by Puffin, an imprint of Penguin. They published my short story in an anthology called Justice. And my editor, Tony Bradman, he also gave me a lot of confidence, telling me that I wrote very well. I was a good storyteller. So that built my confidence, and I just kept going. So once the children were asleep, I would write. And Warren, at the time, poor thing, he was one that had to listen to me reading out reams and reams of the manuscript. And he'd give me his input, and I'd say, "Oh, shut up, you don't know what you're talking
That
about."
was your partner.
That was my partner, yes. So yeah, I would actually bounce a lot of stuff off of him, and men, they always think they're the expert of everything. So I'm writing a love story now, and but no, don't, the man wouldn't say that. The man would say this. No, I don't want you telling me. It's my book. Yeah, it was wonderful. And I approached different people. For a little while, I had an agent. Things don't always work out in straight lines.
Yeah, so
And my mum and dad was also, especially my daddy, he was very proud that I'd had a short story published. None of them lived to really see my novel come out, but I actually dedicated that first book to them, because it was through them that it all came together. So yes, from the magazine through university, and I just kept writing. That was my pastime. Once the children were asleep, I was writing. I had friends who would come round, and Warren was great. He'd say, "Yeah, go out with your friends. I'll have the children's fine." No, I wanted to write. And my friends at the time actually had this name for me, where she's sitting on a laptop, not a laptop in those days, it was your Apple Mac, your desktop. She's always sat in front of that computer. She's not going to come out with us. She's just going to be sitting in front of that computer, because it excited me. Every chapter I wrote excited me. You know what I'm saying? So,
you're creative.
yeah, yeah, that was my thing. That was my life. So it was between my relationship with Warren, my relationship with my children, and then my relationship with the page. Yeah. And I was happy. I was happy there.
You were creative. You had a world. Yes. So I wanted to ask about, so writing, then you got published. Fantastic. How did Wild Foundation come about? Because we're going to transition from, you were going to go into how the festival began, but what brought the idea of Wild Foundation? Especially as you've named it, busy mom, busy family, writing, everything going on,
Yeah.
and you made room for your charity.
Yeah. After I finished university, I had my first real job then was I had a go at being a journalist at the BBC. And Greg Dyke was Governor General at the time, and he wanted to see more. So yeah, he wanted more diversity in the BBC. He actually used that phrase where he said that the BBC was hideously white. And of course, the major newspapers did not like him saying that. And he pointed out that most of the diverse staff were security officers, kitchen staff, caterers. That's where he was seeing us. He says, but
Oh my God.
yes, he says that he'd like to see us on screen. And I remember being in one of the meetings, and I was sitting there, and he says, and I don't see why we couldn't have a newsreader like this young lady there with her beautiful head wrap. And that was me.
Wow.
But yeah, so I went on to be trained BBC journalist. And while I was there, I called him my mentor, Richard Adish. No, it wasn't. It was, what's his name? I cannot quite remember his name at the moment, but it'll come back to me. But he was fantastic. And also I had another mentor, and she really pushed me to do features, because that's what I loved while I was in the writers' room, the BBC writers' room. And I went off to do a feature on Women's Aid. So I went down to Ealing Women's Aid. interviewed women who'd been fleeing domestic abuse. Stella, at that time, I did not know, okay, that women were beaten by men. I didn't know that. No, I didn't. I didn't understand about domestic abuse, physical, mental, emotional, financial, sexual. I hadn't a clue. Of course, I knew about women could be raped and things like that.
Mhm.
Within a relationship, I came from home, a background, mummy and daddy. I never heard a cross word between my parents. They were like such a perfect team. Do you know what I'm saying? If I wanted to go to a disco, I asked mummy, she said, "What did your father say?" So I'd have to go and ask daddy. Ask daddy, "Can I go?" Daddy said, "What did your mother say?" You know what I'm saying? So I was backwards and forwards between mummy and daddy. Learned very quickly that I could get around daddy quicker than I could mummy. So I always asked daddy first. And so when he said, "What did your mother say?" I'd go to mummy and say, "Daddy says it's okay if you says it's okay." in that sense. But I went off to do this feature on Women's Aid, and I think, not think, I got on really well with the women. And instead of, I remember asking them lots of questions. They answered, some they didn't, but it was an eye opener for me that somebody who you love and who says they love you could do those things to you. I know it sounds really strange, but and yeah, I'm the wash belly of my family, as we call it in Jamaica. I'm the youngest child, okay? Yeah, didn't understand lots of stuff. And domestic abuse was one thing that I remember going home and saying, wow, do you know that some men bash their women up? Because it was amazing for me to know that this actually happens. And then it was really wonderful when the managing committee of the refuge said to me, "The women keep talking about you. How would you like to do some volunteering here?" So I thought, okay. So I went and I volunteered. I was still working at the BBC, but in the evenings I'd go and volunteer at the refuge and just really chill with the women, talking to them and everything like that. And then I started telling them, you should write these things. You should really write it. And cut a long story short, they offered me a job at the refuge, and I asked BBC to give me a sabbatical. I asked my manager at the time, could I take a year out and work at the refuge? And she agreed it. And I went there and I decided that I would give all the women a journal so that they could write.
Wow.
And in the journal, I said to them they didn't have to share it, it was theirs. But they started sharing it with me. And as a caseworker working there, I thought, but you've never told me this, but you've written it. And that's when I realized they're going to write more than they will ever tell you. And so that became part of their welcome packs, journal, in their welcome packs. Because women, they flee without any change of clothes sometimes. They
Yep,
just turn up.
yep.
And cut another story short, I started working at the refuge and I stayed there for 18 years, Stella. 18 years. And in that time working at the refuge, that's when I established the WILDE Foundation. WILDE is an acronym for Women in Literature, Development, Empowerment, because I wanted to use literature to empower these women. I saw that they bled their trauma onto the page. And after they wrote it onto the page, it gave them a confidence. And all these things I just did innately without understanding why I was doing it. It was just coming out of me.
Yeah.
And I was just giving them these opportunities to write. And they were the ones that were showing me that the trauma is leaking out. I'm feeling better. I'm confident. And I thought, wow. And so WILDE grew out of that. And
Fantastic.
yeah, so I started offering, when I left the refuge, I started working with women. And a lot of them, a lot of the women from the refuge found me on Facebook. They found me because, of course, you've got to have your professional boundaries. I didn't let them know where I lived, where I was, but they found me on Facebook and they wanted to get back in touch with me. And that's how WILDE came about, started offering different empowerment services for these women. These women, they were the ones that told me, we're thrivers, we're not survivors. They're the ones that wanted different names. Don't call me victim. Don't even call me survivor. I'm a thriver. And now, of course, nearer as time went on, I'm an influencer. Pick those words, those powerful words for themselves. And so they grew and I grew.
Love that. I love that. And so from Wild, because I don't know whether we established that all of this is in the UK.
All of it is in the
All
UK.
of this is in the UK because I interview people from different places. So now Wild Foundation is like now growing offshoots into different things. So tell us about the initiatives now that you've got. So I don't even want to call them initiative, but incredible projects or incredible things that have come out of Wild Foundation, including travel to Jamaica.
Yes, yes, yes. Because with Wild, yes, we're a force to reckon with now. We're based in West London and we communicate with women all over the world. So we started doing this, we called it Wild Jam at the time, which was Wild Jamaica. We started taking women to Jamaica in the early 2000. Writing retreat, we'd go to write. You know, we'd spend 2 weeks out there and we would write every morning from 10 a.m. till 2. And then the rest of the time was yours to do what you wanted to in Jamaica. But we would write for those 4 hours. And we had Jamaican women joining us. And I must say that they were as they call them, uptown women, the women who could afford to travel from any part of Jamaica to come and join us where we were. And yeah, we would. And that's where actually I wrote Swimming with Fishes. Sitting on the beach, part of it, sitting on the beach of Negril, 7 miles of white sandy beach, writing. The next part was at Bush Theatre. I would go to Bush Theatre and sit down, and those were my writing haven between the beaches of Negril in Jamaica and Bush Theatre in West London. And so being a writer, I wanted to use my creativity, my platform to empower women because they were the one that showed me that words empowered them, that writing and journaling and bleeding onto the page was an empowerment tool for them. So once they showed me that, I ran with it. And that's the service Wild started offering.
Wow.
Come and write with us. And yeah, this year, I would say we had the most successful year this year, where we took 10 women, 12 in all, 12 in total, to
Including
Jamaica.
including me. It was
Yes,
fantastic.
including the
Fantastic.
awesome crime fiction writer Stella Oni came. First time in Jamaica. And we
Home
went
from
to
home. I loved it. I loved it.
yes, the Calabash Literary Festival. And just, we marinated, didn't we? We marinated on the beach. We bonded. We had a wonderful time. And you were doing a lot of editing of your book.
Yes, still I'm editing the final. So book two of my Toxade mystery. I'm doing the final edits, ready to go to the publisher. So yeah, I was doing quite a lot. I was like, oh my God, I need to do this work. But I was having a good time. I was having a blast as well. The ladies were amazing. It was just fantastic. I love
Yeah.
Jamaica. I loved it.
And that's it. When you find your writing tribe, that's what happened. Yeah. So Wild started growing, and while started growing, I also started teaching at my adult education centre in West London, creative writing, and they love it. These little tribes of writing groups were forming because once I spoke to them about the importance of finding your tribe, getting feedback. Don't just wait for me, your teacher, to inspire you, empower you to write. Inspire and empower each other in your tribe. And they did that, and they continue to do that. And the wonderful thing is that from that, they all form their own little WhatsApp group and they include me in it. So
Good.
I'm always able to nip in and out of there's 4 different groups now, 4 different writing groups that I've taught over 3 years that have formed themselves in their own little groups and invite me along.
That's that. I'm sure you feel fantastic. You feel good
Yes.
that, impact, the impact of what you're doing in the lives
Yeah.
of the women, giving them voice, and now giving themselves voice. Nothing
Yes.
as important as that.
Yeah. Yes. That to me is it's one of the things that makes my life complete. The fact that I have all these little pockets of tribe, these little tribes, writing tribe. And I always tell them they teach me a whole lot, as well as they give me these wonderful cards telling me what a great teacher I am. And I
Mhm.
have to put it back to them and tell them, you taught me a great deal.
Learn,
Yeah,
learn,
you've
learn.
been great teachers for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, World Foundation Writers Festival. I'm sure in a year's time, if I ask again about World Foundation, there will be more things that you're doing. Tell me about the festival.
Yeah. Okay, so the festival actually came up just after lockdown because we were locked down in 2020
Yeah,
and my writing group moved online, Just Right.
yeah.
That was the writing group I was running and it was for women only.
Mm,
But we moved online during 2020.
yeah.
So during that time while we're writing, we got a good kind of body of work together. And the women said, okay, like when we came through lockdown, they were like, what do we do with all this work now? And there was ideas, let's do an anthology. And because we were in West London,
Mhm.
it was like, you know what? West London hasn't got a festival. So I went to one of my counsellors and I says, we haven't got a writing festival or a literary festival in Shepherd's Bush. And I says, and the group of women that I have that we moved online, they've got a body of work that they either want published, so I've got to go and do some fundraising so I can put an anthology together. But the idea floated from them that festival was the best way. Yes. And
Wow.
so that's when I went and spoke to Bush Theatre. Bush
Mhm.
Theatre allowed us to
Amazing.
actually launch the Writers' Festival there in 2021. That
Mhm.
was the first festival in 2021.
Okay.
And
And I've
I
been
was
there since.
fortunate, yes, I was fortunate because 2020, Jacaranda, our publisher,
Yeah.
actually got, I mean, to me, they made history. They published 20 Black authors in 2020 and the WILDE Foundation doing the festival in 2021, I had access to some of those awesome authors, including crime fiction writer Stella Oni. So
Yeah.
I was able to put that festival together using a lot of the 2020 authors from Jacaranda. And we had, oh my goodness, the evaluation form that filled in, people were so excited, they were so happy. And there were people who were looking at us like we're big celebrities, Stella. Oh, I met
Mhm.
all those writers. I met the crime writer, Stella Oni. They were boasting. They were boasting. They really enjoyed it. We never had a festival in Hammersmith and Fulham, and it grew.
Yeah.
2022, and then 2020, I think it was 2023, we had the strike and there was a tube strike
Oh
on the
yeah,
day
I
of the
remember.
festival.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that
It was
was like a
crazy.
nightmare,
I
but
still
it
found my
still
way.
took place.
We still found my way.
Yes, and it still took place, and
Yes.
people were still excited. And
Mhm.
then, of course, this year, 2025,
Amazing. Amazing.
2024 was brilliant as well. We had those
Yeah.
awesome authors that we put together on the platform, publishers, agents that gave emerging writers an opportunity to get more information and advice about their own creative writing. And so, yeah, year to year it's growing. I enjoyed it the most this year,
Mhm.
even
Mhm.
though it rained like cats and dogs.
Indeed.
You
Oh my
know,
God, that rain. I got to the station. I was just stuck in the station. But I said,
yes.
nothing is keeping me away from the festival. Whatever is left of it, I'll be there. So
Yes.
now the question that I'm going to now pose to you is, what do you see as the future of Wild Foundation? That's one. Two, how do you see technology enhancing what you do, because I know if I look at the festival from where you started to now, I noticed a vast move to digital in terms of publicizing, in terms of you did extremely well this year. And I think that was reflected in the numbers that you got as well. So tell me what the future is, what your plans are for the future, and how you see technology that is maybe even getting people to assist with that, helping you.
Yes, I think one of the biggest kind of technology thing, the digital role is AI, isn't it? I'm still to understand it, but I think digital technology plays a vital role in, kind of amplifying the impact of the festival because it allows us to reach audiences far beyond our physical venue. And we can make the festival accessible to people across the UK and internationally.
Yes,
We, we had people each year, we've had people get on a plane to attend the festival. We had someone come from Puerto Rico, someone come from Nigeria, and I
Ireland,
realized that,
Ireland.
yes, Ireland as well. I think through live streams and social media, podcasts like your own, Stella, and online workshops, we can extend our conversation and we can highlight underrepresented voices and keep that energy of the festival alive long after the event. And technology helps us to build that. It's ongoing. And you know me, Stella, I'm always telling you that I don't know nothing about technology. I'm not techie. If I want to know anything about technology, I call you.
So no, it's just you have people. Once you have the great people around you, that's it.
Yes,
You be good at what you're good at, and you are an innovator. You are somebody who can innovate from scratch and and build something off the ground. So all you need to do is just surround yourself with the right people. You don't
yes,
even, yeah, you don't need to know it.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and
That's what
that's
I
what you're doing.
realized.
That's what you're
That's
doing.
what,
It's
yes,
fantastic. Yeah,
yes.
fantastic. So what are the plans now for the future?
For the future, for the WILDE Foundation, well, number one, we want to extend our writing retreat because that has got so much positive feedback.
Mm.
So definitely we want to see that grow. We want our writers retreat going maybe annually, because at the moment we're doing it biannually, aren't we? Going abroad. But we can do it closer to home as well, which we're discussing among us. I see also that while people give me ideas, and I always say to them, we can do what we can do, but why don't you do that? Because one of the things they're saying, why aren't you guys publishing? I said, you've done a magazine before, so,
But
why don't you get into that's not something that I see that WILDE will do, but what we will definitely do is that we would love to empower and inspire emerging writers.
yeah,
So that's
and
what one of
collaborate. Sorry to interrupt, and collaborate as well. So you don't
yeah,
have to do the publishing, but you can collaborate with a publishing house, a publishing, even indie publishing or any kind of publishing, what do they call it, setup, and get work out through that. So you can do collaborations.
yeah, that definitely that is something, of course, that we will definitely consider. We would also want to ensure that we can give opportunities to grow for our tribes, give them the creative opportunity to grow. So I see WILDE being a taking a big part in that. I see WILDE taking part as well in, yeah, collaborating with other festivals. Like we've got interest from the festival in Ireland that says, oh, let's do something together. Yeah, we're into that. We're not territorial where we think, no, this is my idea, let's do that. No, we're into growing and collaborating, share our stories, share our impact. We're into doing that.
Agree.
So I'm really excited about exploring new stories, engaging directly with readers and writers. I could, if I could imagine a future where literature and community are truly interconnected. I think that was one of the things I wanted to talk about as well, where
I didn't follow the
access.
script.
We want to get more mentor, because I mentor as well. And I tend to keep my mentors, like I just keep 2, 3 at a time, because otherwise you're not going to get time to do your own writing if you're forever got these mentors on board. So I'd like to take on more people within the WILDE Foundation who can be mentors to emerging writers. And of course, pay them, because writers, we're notoriously short of cash. So I would like to be
The
able to,
money.
yes, to give that opportunity, people like yourselves, as any opportunity I get, even where I'm working, I bring
Yeah.
authors in to come and inspire these writers, these emerging writers, because if that had been done for me coming through the 80s and 90s, that would have been awesome. So yeah, those are some of the things that we want to see. We want to see WILDE grow internationally on an international platform.
So what I want us to look at thinking beyond without any barriers, without any kind of thing, who are the people what organizations would you love to collaborate with? Don't, no filters. Just give us the name of the organization that you would love to, and then which writers do you want? Let's put it out there. You don't know. Which writers do you want to invite to the WILDE Foundation?
Chimamanda,
Chimamanda, did you hear that?
Chimamanda,
Okay. So
I would,
Chimamanda, if you are listening or someone that knows Chimamanda, we put your name out there. We love you.
yes, we'd love to see you come on board, Chimamanda. And also, a lot of the writers that are coming up, I don't know all their names, but a lot of them that are coming up now through different publishers, like our own publishers, Jacaranda, get some of them on board. But yeah, I would like to actually collaborate with a publishing group where we could do what Jacaranda did, get 20 authors together, and publish them. I would, yes, WILDE would love to do that. We would love
Okay,
to
put it out
collaborate.
there as well. So if you're a publishing house and you're listening to this and you think that you could collaborate with Rashida, her group, okay, so I went to Jamaica. I'm going to write an article. I've written an article, but I'm going to finish it and put it out there because Jamaica was just so fantastic that I wanted to chronicle everything, which I did in pictures. I took masses of pictures. So that's why I'm writing the article to bring back the memories.
Yeah,
So the ladies were just, let me try and describe the ladies. Each person was so unique in their voice, unique in their outlook, and it's to bring such people together in a collection of whatever kind of mood will be, or because
yes,
they all have their stories. And we
yes,
have a particular one that actually needs to be published. When she finishes writing what she's finishing, when she's
yes,
writing, she needs to be out there. Her story is
yes,
incredible. I'm not going to be even say anything about what she's writing at the moment.
yes,
So her story is incredible and she's
yes,
writing it. So
yes.
if you're a publisher out there and you think you could collaborate with WILDE Foundation and bring a voice,
Our writers, yes, who are emerging writers,
please reach out
definitely.
to Rashida.
Yes.
This is
And
like the
can I
end.
just
Oh,
say,
you want to say something?
can I just say,
She
I
doesn't want
just
to go. She does not want to go on then.
wanted to say as well that one of the things I love about meeting these emerging writers is that some of them start off with such huge self-doubt. We had one that, and she definitely would write some beautiful, oh, she was a storyteller, but she would not read it out. I would have to read it out to the class for her. But over time, since I've been teaching her for the last 3 years, she has stepped into her role.
Hmm.
And I got her to be one of the speakers at an event where she could read out a piece of work that she'd written, and she did it. And 2 years before that, hell
Mhm.
no, she said no one could ever have told me I would do that and have me believe them. But now she stands up in an audience and she reads her own words, because like I tell her, own it, it's yours. You have me
Mm,
reading it out all the time. You read it. It comes from you organically. So
mhm.
you read it, put it out there. And yeah, I would love to collaborate with a publisher who would really like to get into the heads and the minds of these emerging writers.
That's good. That's good. And so we've come to the end of the podcast. Where should people or how do people reach out to you? What are the different ways that people can reach out to you?
So I'm on social media. Instagram's my favorite place to be. So if you get a hold of me at Ashanti Rashida Author, um,
Ashanti, let's spell it Ashanti. Yeah. Shida.
yes, yeah,
Rasheda.
Hed author.
Ashanti author. So Ashanti Rashida author
Yes,
on
that's
Instagram.
on Instagram. Also, I would love if they check out the H&F Writers Festival website, www.h and A-N-D-F F for Freddie, Head for Fulham, Writers Festival. Keep in touch with us there because annually we host this festival. The next one will be 27th of June 2026. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. We've already started working on it. We're looking forward to that. And email, you can get directly to me by emailing wild. Don't forget wild with an E, WILDE 2000 at btopenworld.com.
Mhm.
Yes,
So
get hold of me there.
thank you so much for listening to us. I wish I could go with Rashida forever because excited about what she's doing, excited for the future, but every good thing must come to an end. So thank you all for listening to us, and we will meet again soon.
Thank you for having me, Stella. Hope you have me again, okay?
I definitely will have you again.